A beautiful morning to you and welcome to another beautiful edition of In the Papers, the newspaper review program on iPower 102.7 FM at Emurele, Owo, Ondo State. This is a program where we review, preview and read various newspaper making stories from Nigeria and beyond. I am Abdulrasaq. Alawi. Stay tuned. On today's edition of In the Papers, we'll be taking stories from the Hope newspaper, the Punch newspaper, the Daily Post newspaper, and the Nation newspaper for you today. To give you the headlines, we'll go on a short musical break. When we come back, we'll give you details of the headline and further stories to come on the other side. Welcome back, and if you are just joining us onto In the Papers, the newspaper review program on iPower 102.7 FM. Starting from the Hope newspaper, I have this particular story coming from the Hope newspaper. UN urges Nigeria to take all lawful measures to stop kidnapping. Still on the Hope newspaper, talking about Aiyedatiwa. Now we have Aiyedatiwa swears in Senior 8 inaugurates law commissioners. On the Hope newspaper as well, we have the federal government unveils online classes for secondary school students. Away from that to the Daily Post newspaper, talking about the worsening insecurity, we have pressure mount for establishment of state police. Still talking about the issue of insecurity from the Punch newspaper, we have kidnapping spree escalate as federal government negotiates hostage freedoms. Still on the issue of insecurity from the Punch newspaper, as well, we have Army repels bandits rescue kidnapped victim in Kogi. Away from the issue of insecurity, moving on to the 2027 forthcoming general election, we do have Oyo APC youth urges Governor Makinde to prepare and overnote. Still talking about 2027 from the Daily Post newspaper, we have nobody can rig us out. We know their ways, says Aregbesola. Away from 2027 EU, we have this one coming from the federal government. From the Nation newspaper, we have federal government targets Dana Air asset to refund passengers and agents. On the Punch newspaper, Wiki Blog asks court to nullify PDP convention. straight away to the Daily Post newspaper, where I have this one coming from Governor OT. We have of Abia State. We have why we sealed Tinubu campaign office in Abia. And lastly, before giving you the details of the story for today, we have this one coming from the Daily Post newspaper talking about Nigerian government shot 2 Ogun factories over dangerous working conditions. Starting with the story from the Hope newspaper talking about the UN urges Nigerians to take all lawful measures to stop kidnapping. We have this one coming from the Hope newspaper. We have the United Nations on Tuesday condemned a surge in mass kidnapping in north-central Nigeria, calling on the authorities to take urgent steps to halt the attack and bring perpetrators to justice. The statement said, and I quote, "We are shocked at the recent surge in mass abduction in north-central Nigeria," UN rights spokesperson Tahman Abdulrasaq told the reporter in Ghana. He further quoted that we urge Nigerian authorities at all levels to take all lawful measures to ensure such vile attacks are halted and to be held those responsible account. His comments came as the recent abduction of Nigerians, including almost 350 school children, in just a matter of days, has reignited a pressure debate about the persistent security crisis gripping the country. He quoted that at least 402 persons, most of them school children, have been abducted in the states of Niger, Kebbi, Kwara, and Borno State since November 17. Katim said, adding that only 88 of them have reportedly been freed or have escaped from their captivity. Away from that, still on the Hope newspaper talking about the Ondo State Governor, we have Ayedatiwa swears in Senior 8th inaugurate Law Commission. Now to the detail of this particular story coming from the Hope newspaper. Ondo State Governor Dr. Lucky Ayedatiwa on Tuesday swore in newly appointed and reappointed special advisors and the Director General of the Performance and Project Implementation Monitoring Unit, PPIMU. The governor also formally inaugurated the chairman and member of Ondo State Law Commission. The ceremony held at Koko Conference Central, Governor's Office, Akure, marked a significant milestone in strengthening the state government's architecture under the administration Ease Policy Trust. In his address, Governor Ayedatiwa described the occasion as a solemn affirmation of our commitment to people-centered leadership, efficient government, and public service driven by integrity. He, however, emphasized that the governance is not about the preservation of power, but the selfless deployment of authority for the advancement of human dignity, describing the event as the reaffirmation of the administration's social contracts with the people of Ondo State. The governor said, and I quote, the appointment being formalized today are the product of careful consideration and rigorous merit-based evaluation. They embody our strategic intent to sustain a team of tested professionals and patriot citizens whose competence and character will continue to enrich good governance and deliver of the burden of good governance in our Sunshine State. For detail of this particular story, see the Hope newspaper with the headline, Ayedatiwa swears in Senior 8th inaugurate Law Commission. Away from the Hope newspaper, moving straight away to the Daily Post newspaper, talking about the worsening insecurity. We have prayer mounts for establishment of state police. Now, to the detail of this particular story coming from the Daily Post newspaper. As Nigeria grapples with surge in violence crimes, from mass abduction to target attack on communities, the decade-long debate over state policing has resurfaced with renewed urgency. Many Nigerians are now increasingly calling for a decentralized policing system they believe could respond more swiftly and effectively to the worsening security crisis. Reports stated that in past few days, the country has witnessed a string of troubling incidents, highlighting the fragility of its current security architecture. Reports stated that our government abducted over 300 children from the St. Mary Catholic Primary School, Papiri in Niger State, a grim reminder of the Chibok incident in 2014, while in Kebbi State, 25 girls from the Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School, Maga, were kidnapped and the vice principal was killed by gunmen. Last week as well, we have 3 persons were killed when worshippers were abducted by bandits during an attack on the parish of the Christ Apostolic Church, Eruku, Kwara State. Also on Sunday, the police confirmed that the killing of 5 police officers in Bauchi State and the abduction of 12 female farmers in Borno State by bandits. For detail of this particular story, see the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Pressure Mount for Establishment of State Police. Still taking story about the insecurity issue from the Punch newspaper, where I have this particular headline coming through your air from iPower 102.7 FM at Emurele or Ondo State. We have kidnapping spree escalates as federal government negotiates hostage freedom. Now to the detail of this particular story coming from the Punch newspaper. Despite the reported intensified military operation against bandits, the criminals have continued to wave their terror, abducting 20 persons in Kwara and Kano between Monday night and Tuesday morning. The development came barely 24 hours after 38 worshippers abducted from Christ Apostolic Church, Oke Shegun Eruku Ikere, Kwara State on November 18 were released by their abductors. The worshippers were freed on Sunday after a non-kinetic operation involving the Department of State Service and the military. The details of the operation are hazy, but presidential spokesperson Bayo Ononuga dismissed speculation that a ransom was paid, stressing that the government simply negotiated with the bandits for the release of the hostages. There was also relief for parents and people of Kebbi State, as 24 schoolgirls abducted from Government Girls Comprehensive School, Maga, in Danko Wasagu local government area, regained their freedom on Tuesday. The students who were kidnapped from their hostels in the early hours of last Monday were released a week later following intensified security operation and high-level intervention from the federal government. Worried, however, by the last attack in which 10 persons, including a pregnant woman, nursing mothers, and children, were reportedly seized in Isakwa community, a few kilometers from Eruku, Kwara State. President Bola Tinubu ordered a total security cordon over the forest in the state. Presidential aide Sunday Dare disclosed on X on Tuesday that the president directed the Nigerian Air Force to expand their surveillance to Kebbi and Niger Forest, which are believed to have been occupied by the bandit. The tweet said, and I quote, Tinubu directed the Air Force to expand its air surveillance across the innermost part of the forest in Kwara State, where it is believed the terrorists are hiding. They are to maintain 24-hour surveillance and link up with the boot on the ground. For detail of this particular story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline: Kidnapping spree escalates as federal government negotiate hostage freedoms. And I'm still on the Punch newspaper, still taking story about the matter, the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. We have this one coming from the Punch newspaper. We have Army repels bandit, rescues kidnapped victim in Kogi State. Now to the detail of this particular story coming from the Punch newspaper. Troops of the 12th Brigade Nigerian Army have repelled bandits and rescued a kidnapped victim during an operation around Oshokoshoko and Obajano in the local government area of Kogi State. A statement issued early Wednesday by the Acting Assistant Director, Army Public Relations, 12th Brigade Lokoja, Lieutenant Hassan Abdullah, said the operation was part of the ongoing effort to combat banditry, kidnapping, and other violent crime across the state. Abdullah said, and I quote, in the early hours of 25th November 2025, following credible information on the movement of bandits crossing Oshokoshoko-Obajana corridor with abducted persons, troops deployed at Kaba Patrol base working jointly with the hybrid forces conducted a special ambush operation to intercept the criminals. The statement said, and I quote, the troop laid in wait and made contact with the armed criminals who were moving with an unconfirmed number of fighters. The bandits opened fire but were met with superior firepower from the troops, forcing them to withdraw in disorder. During the encounter, one bandit was neutralized while others fled with various degree of gunshot wounds. He said the operation also led to the recovery of one AK-47 rifle and rescue of a kidnapped victim. For detail of this particular story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline: Army repels bandit, rescue kidnapped victim in Kogi State. And if you're just joining, you're on to In the Papers, the newspaper review program on iPower 102.7 FM in Morele, Owo, Ondo State. To join us, you can also check our social media handle on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, and YouTube on iPower 102.7 FM, iPower 102.7 FM. If you want to share your perspective, your opinion, your view on the program for today, you can reach out to us on 081 6552 4699. 081 6552 4699 or 081 3274 7339. 081 3274 7339. Moving on with another story coming from the Hope newspaper, where I have this particular one. We have the federal government unveiled online classes for secondary school students. Now to the detail of this particular story coming from the Hope newspaper. We have the federal government, the Federal Ministry of Education has launched the Inspire Lives online real-time classes initiative, a nationwide digital learning program aimed at expanding access to quality education for school children across Nigeria. In a statement issued on Tuesday and signed by the Director of Press and Public Relations Folashade Boriowo, the ministry described the initiative as a groundbreaking effort to promoting quick, equitable access to quality learning for every Nigerian child. It added that the program aligned with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. According to the statement, the initiative was designed to address long-standing challenges in the educational sector, including shortage of quality teachers and disruption to learning. By streaming live, interactive lessons directly to the student, the ministry noted that inspire lives. In the statement said, and I quote, demonstrate the access to quality education and ensure that no child is left behind, regardless of location or circumstance. The Minister of Education, Tunji Alausa, confirmed the full implementation has already commenced. He stated that the rollout is underway, with expansion to set all classes from primary 1 to senior secondary school 3. At present, the Inspire platform hosts online classes for GSS and SS students. The ministry said the classes run Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. and delivered by certified master teachers using some online website. For detail of this particular story from the Hope newspaper, see the Hope newspaper for this headline. We have federal government unveiled online classes for secondary school students. Now talking about 2027 from the Daily Post newspaper, I have this one coming from the Daily Post newspaper. We have, or your APC youth urges Governor Makinde to prepare and overnote. Now to the detail of this particular story coming from the Hope newspaper. We have youth leaders of All Progressive Congress APC in Oyo State have called on Governor Seyi Makinde to begin preparation and preparing his handover note, asserting that residents are ready for a new leadership direction ahead of the 2027 governorship election. The statement was made during a press briefing at APC Secretariat in Oke-Ado, Ibadan, where the state APC youth leader, Comrade John Aremu, said the young party members are mobilizing to reclaim the state from the current People's Democratic Party PDP administration. Aremu accused the present government of holding Oyo State in bondage and stressed that APC youth are committed to delivering the political change and the state require. He declared that the ruling party should prepare for its eventual exit from the progressive young leaders ready to assume responsibility. Highlighting recent political development, Aremu noted that the reconciliation between Senator Tastim Folarin and the Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabu, signals renewed unity within the APC, which he believes will strengthen the party prospect in 2027 election. For detail of this particular story, see the Daily Post newspaper with the headline 2027, or your APC youths urges Governor Makinde to prepare and overnote. Still talking about 2027 from the Daily Post newspaper, we have this one coming from Aregbesola. Nobody can rig us out. We know their way. Now, to the detail of this particular story coming from Aregbesola, we have the National Secretary of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Rauf Aregbesola, said the ruling government will be unable to manipulate the forthcoming election, insisting that he know their tactics. Speaking further, Aregbesola made this statement on Tuesday at the unveiling of ADC in Oshogbo, stressing that the day marked exactly 15 years since his administration assumed office in the state, an anniversary he described as symbolic. He pointed out that the party will present a viable alternative to addressing the nation's challenges of insecurity, maladministration, poverty, hunger, and absence of good governance. He said, and I quote, "Today marks the 15 years we have been in Osun State, and our government was also sworn in at this very location. It was on a Friday, but today is the day of victory, Tuesday. Today, God has shattered the present government and even the government at the central. They cannot rig the election. We know their tactics. Go and start taking care of old women who have reached menopause. Clothe them in good clothes and let them sit in turn on the election day at different polling units and leave the rest to us. They try their best, but God is not with them because they don't start with God. They are selfish. They have been disgraceful in all standards in the economy, security, governance, and orders. By August next year, we will certainly meet in Aburi. After August, we will now take over the presidency. There is nowhere in Osun that the people do not resonate with what we have present." For detail of this particular story, see the Daily Post newspaper with the headline 2027, nobody can rig us out. We know their ways, from Aregbesola. Let you guys know that I on mic. Welcome back. We are still on to In the Papers, the newspaper review program on iPower 102.7 FM at Emurele, Owo, Ondo State. In the Papers, there is a program coming through you from the air of iPower 102.7 FM. This is a program where we review, and read various making stories from Nigeria and beyond. We've been taking stories from the various newspapers in Nigeria to you. For your perspective, your opinion, your view on the program, you can call us on the studio line offer today on 081 65 52 4699, 081 65 52 4699, or 081 32 74 7339, 081 32 74 7339. You can also join us on our social media handle on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, and YouTube on iPower 1027 FM, iPower 1027 FM. Moving on with a story coming from the Daily Post newspaper, where I have this particular headline talking about Governor Oti. While we sealed Tinubu's campaign in Abia State. Now to the detail of this particular story coming from the Daily Post newspaper. Governor Alex Oti of Abia State has cleared the air about the sealing of the renewed Hope Agenda office situated at Ojike Street, Umaya at the state capital. He said called further that the governor, in a statement by his chief press secretary, Ukoha, stated that the action was not political motivated, contrary to the misinterpretation by members of the opposition. Oti said the sealing was carried out by the State Immunized Task Force as part of the blanket enforcement of court orders. He said that, however, ordered that the property be unsealed after the matter was brought to his notice by the Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu. According to him, the action has no political undertone, warning against imputing motives to the activities of the Immunized Task Force. For detail of this particular story, see the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, "Why we sealed Tinubu's campaign office in Abia," says Governor Oti. Now to the Punch newspaper, where I have this particular headline and story coming through your air from the wave of iPower 102.7 FM. We have Wike block acts court to nullify PDP convention. Now to the detail of this particular story. The faction of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), aligned with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, has approached the Federal High Court in Abuja seeking an order nullifying the party's convention held in Ibadan, Oyo State on November 15 and 16 by the faction aligned with the Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde. The suit mark as a plaintiff the PDP in acting National Chairman Mohammed Abdulrahman and the National Secretary Samuel Anyahu. They are asking the court to declare the convention and all resolution null, void and no effect. They want the court to restrain the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) from recognizing the convention. For detail of this particular story, see the Punch newspaper with the headline, "Wike block asks court to nullify PDP convention." Away from the Punch newspaper, moving straight away to the Daily Post newspaper, where I have this particular headline: Nigerian government shuts 2 Ogun factories over dangerous working conditions. Now to the detail of this particular story coming from the Daily Post newspaper. The federal government has ordered the closure of 2 factories in Ogun State for various breaches of occupational safety and health (OSH) regulations. The affected facility are True Metal Nigerian Limited and Phoenix Steel Mill Limited are located along the Ikorodu-Shagamu Industrial Corridor. The announcement came in a statement on Tuesday following an unscheduled inspection conducted on Monday by the Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Nkiru Onyejuka. She accompanied by the Director of the Occupational Safety and Health, Mrs. Florence Owe, and OSH official from Lagos and Ogun State. Oyo said the government under the President Bola Tinubu's Renew Hope agenda will not tolerate employers who endanger workers under the pretext of creating jobs. He further said that, I quote, "At the True Metal Nigerian Limited, a battery recycling plant The minister expressed the shock over unsafe and degrading working conditions. Workers were reportedly exposed to unprotected lead emissions, operated without mandatory automation equipment, and lacked access to proper sanitation despite prior warning. The job provided does not justify putting life at risk. We cannot claim to be creating employment while endangering lives, and every Nigerian worker deserves a safe and dignified work environment. Onyejuka said. For detail of this particular story, see the Daily Post newspaper with the headline: Nigerian government shuts 2 Ogun factories over dangerous working conditions. Away from the Punch newspaper, moving straight away to the Nation newspaper, where I have this particular headline coming through your air. We have: the federal government targets Dana Air asset to refund passengers and agents. Now, to the detail of this particular story coming from the Nation newspaper. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has disclosed that the federal government may go after the asset of Dana Air to refund trapped fund of passengers and airline travel agents. The minister said he would direct the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA) to probe why funds trapped by the airline are yet to be refunded. Speaking on why the authority suspended the airline operations, the minister said the suspension was a choice between safety and the sisters. Kiyama disclosed these in Abuja yesterday at the 4th Quarter Stakeholder Engagement to Enforce Governance to Effective Service Delivery in Aviation with the team, leveraging public feedback to drive excellence in aviation services. The NCAA last year suspended flight operations of Dana Air due to runway incidents involving one Dana Air MD-82 aircraft with registration mark 5NBKI at Murtala Muhammad International Airport. The Director General of NCAA, Captain Christ Najomo, in a letter to the airline, noted that the suspension was imperative as it would enable safety and economic audit. For detail of this particular story, see the Nation newspaper with the headline: Federal government targets Dana Air assets to refund passengers and agents. Away from the Nation newspaper, still taking story from the Daily Post newspaper, where I have in Cross River, election is selection, says ADC chieftain alleges this. Now, to the detail of this particular story coming from the Daily Post newspaper. Ex-governorship candidate of African Democratic Congress ADC Effiong Neyong has alleged that election in Cross River State amount to selection rather than the true democratic process. Neyong made the claim in an interview in Calabar, insisting that Cross River still does not enjoy what other states experience as free and credible election. He said, and I quote, "Today in Cross River State, we will still do we still do not really have elections. What we see during electioneering is people programming people. We have people selecting people. We witness all manner of things during general election. He further quoted that this is why we say we need to reset the situation in crossover states. We also need to ensure that our people and our public schools are reset. The young also raised concern over about the state of power infrastructure, recalling that the former governor Professor Ben Ayade constructed a 23 megawatt power plant in Calabar meant to provide round-the-clock electricity to the state and beyond. He alleged that the current APC-led administration has allowed the plant to deteriorate instead of converting it from diesel to gas. The ADC chieftain further criticized the government for allegedly prioritizing loyalty, connections, and past affiliation over competence and technical capacity when giving appointment. For detail of this particular story, say the Daily Post newspaper with the headline coming from the Daily Post newspaper. We have in Cross River election is selection. ADC chieftain alleges this from the Daily Post newspaper. Away from the Daily Post newspaper, taking story from the Punch newspaper, we have 7-year single term will stabilize government, says LASU professor. Now to the detail of this particular story coming from the Punch newspaper, coming through your air from iPower 102.7 FM, situated at Imurele, Owo, Ondo State. On the program, you can also call us for today before giving you the detail of this particular story on 081 6552 4699. 081 6552 4699 or 081 32 74 7339. 081 32 74 7339 for your contribution, your opinion, your view, and your perspective about the stories, the headline, and the information about the giving to you from the air of iPower 102.7 FM. Moving on with the day story coming from the Punch newspaper, where we have 7-year single term will stabilize governance, says LASU professor from the Punch newspaper. That is not good. Away from that, taking story from the Daily Post newspaper, where I have this one coming from the Daily Post newspaper talking about AFCON 2025. Nigerian officials missing as CAF releases full officiating team. Now to the detail of this particular story. The Confederation of African Football (CAF) has released the list of referees and video assistant referees for the 2025 African Cup of Nations. No Nigerian was included in the list by CAF. CAF included 28 central referees and 14 referees. That's the 14 FAR officials. Host nation Morocco, Algeria, Egypt, and Mauritania provided 2 central referees. Algeria Laou Brahim, Egypt Mohamed Assor, Tanzania Athim Gagourait, Morocco Amsa Al Farid, and Senegal Jibril Kamara are some of the FAR officials who will be heading to Morocco. The competition will run from 21st December 2025 to 18th January 2026, where Morocco will take on Comoros in the opening games in Rabat on Sunday, 21st of December 2025. For detail of this particular story, see the Daily Post newspaper with the headline AFCON 2025 Nigerian officials missing as CAF release full officiating team. Still taking story from the Daily Post newspaper, where I have this one coming straight and out from the Daily Post newspaper. We have Southern governors, traditional rulers meet in Ogun to address the national pressing issue. Now to the detail of this particular story. Members of the Southern Governors Forum will on Wednesday meet in Ikperu, Ogun State to discuss urgent national issues in an effort to further strengthen regional collaboration and a developmental agenda. Well, this was made known by the chairman of the forum and the governor of Ogun State, Dakpo Abiodun, in a statement posted on his official X handle. According to the post, the meeting scheduled for 10 a.m. will be held at Governor's Residence, Ikperu, Ogun State. It added that by 1 p.m. later today, there will also be a combined engagement with Southern traditional rulers to council to promote cooperation between traditional and political leadership and offer a chance to discuss issues of common regional interest. The post read, and I quote, "As we prepare to host the Southern Governors Forum meeting today, we were pleased to receive some of the distinguished attendees, particularly traditional rulers and respected leaders from across the southern region. Their visit offered us the opportunities to deepen the ongoing engagement and align our shared expectation ahead of the gathering. We value the presence of our royal fathers and regional leaders whose wisdom and guidance continue to enrich our process. As hosts, we remain committed to creating an atmosphere that encourages honest dialogue and foster stronger collaboration among all stakeholders as we work together for the peace, stability, and development of our region and country by extension." For detail of this particular story, see the Daily Post newspaper with the headline "Southern Governors, Traditional Rulers Meet in Ogun to Address National and Pressing Issues." And lastly, from my table this morning, coming from the Daily Post newspaper, we have this one. We have 30,000 deaths. You are using Nnamdi Kanu to seek Tinubu's favor, says Pan-Igbo activist Nok Kalu. Now, to the detail of this particular story coming from the Daily Post newspaper. A coalition of Pan-Igbo rights activists, the Rising Suns Group, has accused Abia North Senator Orji Uzokalu of using the case of leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, to curry favor from the President Bola Tinubu. Kalu, a former governor of Abia State, had in an interview said Kanu's agitation caused the death of 30,000 people in the southeast. He equally said he has been making serious effort to get Kanu released from detention. The senator was reacting to issues surrounding Kanu's conviction for terrorism and the life sentence slammed on him by an Abuja Federal High Court presided by Justice James Omotosho, Raising Sun, in a statement on Wednesday by its coordinator Maxwell Dedi and Reverend Father Augustine Idimegwa, disputed Kalu's claim, alleging that the senator is among some members of the Igbo elite who are willing to play any role to advance their political interest. The Pan Group activist insisted that Orji Kalu should have kept quiet if he had nothing to say on the matter, rather than justifying what they describe as Kanu's persecution. Part of the statement said, and I quote, "Our intention has been drawn to the Sunday's interview by the senator representing Abia North, Senator Orji Kalu, where he claimed that over 30,000 people had died due to the agitation by the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu." The former Abia State governor also during the interview defended Justice James Omotosho over his infamous verdict on Kanu. He further quoted that instead of keeping quiet, if he had nothing useful to say, Senator Kalu should close to lambast Nnamdi Kanu over his angry reaction to the barefaced justice meted on him by Justice Omotosho, as if they were not enough. Senator Kalu began to make wild claim of his purported instrumentality in securing Kanu's release in 2017. He also deprecated the Igbo and all those who felt disappointed over the said judgment, which can only be passed for travesty of justice. For detail of this particular story, see the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, "You are using Nnamdi Kanu to seek Tinubu's favor," says Pan-Igbo activist Nok Kanu. And with that, we've come to the end of today's edition of In the Papers, the newspaper review program on IPA 102.7 FM, situated at Imoreile, Owo, Ondo State. Up until next time, I will come to your way to give you another hot news and information update across Nigeria and beyond. Stay tuned, stay blessed. I am Abdulrasaq Allahway, and have a wonderful good morning and have a wonderful day ahead.
You're onto a station that believes in you. We are the pride of the people. This is High